Denji's true goal in life is revealed in chapter 127 of Chainsaw Man, and on top of that, it seems like Asa might actually end up going to hell. In the previous chapter, we left off with round 1 of Denji versus the Falling Devil, ending in Denji being torn in half and aided by a mysterious person that we have yet to see even in this chapter, while the Falling Devil searches for Asa. We then cut to Asa, who's still having a very hard time getting her head together due to the influence of the Falling Devil making her relive her past traumas. We also learn that the true root of Asa's fears is the fact that she's equally terrified of being alone and opening up to another human being. Therefore, she feels like there's no true way that she can ever be happy. Well, at that moment, the Falling Devil finally finds her, and it leads right into this chapter where we see the Falling Devil use her powers to tear apart the roof Asa is standing on and makes her float once again. This time though, Falling takes a much more hands-on approach, like quite literally, and gets very close to Asa as she whispers to her, "I can tell by the way your muscles move, by the smell of your sweat. Your attachment to life is weak to begin with, no? What truly scares you right now is the shock of the impact, the physical sensation of falling, the darkness of the sky. That's all. Close your eyes and I can promise you a peaceful fall." This seems to work on Asa as she lets go of the piece of roof that she was holding onto and seemingly begins to accept her demise. I really do think that this quick exchange between them was extremely important in understanding the direction of Asa's character. In other words, like the character arc that she's going to eventually have in part 2, because it shows that Asa doesn't actually fear death or the concept of dying and no longer existing. What she's more so hung up on is the sensation of death, like the actual physical potential pain of dying. See, what this very brief conversation tells us is that Asa truly has nothing to live for and therefore feels that if she has no purpose in life anyways, she might as well die to prevent causing trouble to others anymore. She doesn't want to be a burden on anybody else anymore and thinks, you know, if I just let go now, then everything will be over and I won't have to suffer anymore since I have nothing else to live for anyways. I'm just gonna have this Falling Devil let me fall. Well, why I think this is so important is the fact that this might very well be setting up an epiphany of sorts for Asa, where like in this arc she'll finally find her reason for being, the thing that kind of keeps her moving forward, you know? Think of it like when Denji realized he wanted to survive and become Chainsaw Man and enjoy all the good things in life, like enjoy steak and have multiple girlfriends at once, things like that. So it does very much seem like this moment is coming to Asa sooner rather than later. But before this can happen, Asa seems to accept her fate and even seems to find comfort in it. But also she interestingly says as she's giving up, "Oh, but I do have one regret, even one person, even if it was with only one person. With all my heart, I wish I'd," and then it cuts off. Now, I assume she's referring to not ever having a boyfriend like she did in the beginning of part 2 as like one of her only regrets, but really it's up in the air exactly what it is that she was going to say here. It could possibly be just having like a long-standing relationship or friendship with somebody, something as simple as that. Well, I'm sure we're gonna get to that at some point here, but either way, like I said earlier, I just think Fujimoto is setting up her eventual aha moment here, you know? Well, we don't really focus on that anymore because at the very last moment, Chainsaw Man arrives and grabs Asa's arm while holding onto a railing to keep them both from floating away. Asa demands that he lets her go because, in her own words, life is a pain anyway. But Denji responds by saying that the more negatively that she thinks, the stronger the force pulling her up gets, so she needs to start thinking about happy things right now so she becomes a little lighter for him to, you know, actually be able to save her. And he tries getting her in the state of mind by reminding her of like happy things, I guess, like dogs, cats, and ice cream. And it actually ends up working a little bit because she does get a little bit lighter. But the problem is at that point they're already both flying high in the sky. But surprisingly, this is the stage where we have probably one of my favorite interactions in all of part 2, because we finally learn how Denji's been dealing with all the traumatic moments of part 1, and of course it's delivered in like the most Denji way possible. As Asa's going on about all the bad things about life, like why she pretty much just wants to let go, Denji tries to relate with her and says, "I know how you feel. Believe me, I've been there. Just when life seems super awesome, as soon as you let your guard down, some crappy thing happens out of nowhere and screws everything all up, right?" And this is when Asa starts understanding that, like, yeah, this guy seems like he's lived a similar life to mine, had similar traumas and troubles. Well, he goes on to say, you know, life isn't all bad, but day in, day out, all you can remember is the bad stuff, and the disasters keep piling up like a hamburger made of crap, right? Well, Asa looks to him and wonders, how did you get over that, Chainsaw Man? And he says, I haven't. I'm not over it. Only I've got something to live for, something I look forward to so much that I'm willing to eat that crap hamburger. Well, she asks him, well, what is that? And of course, Denji being Denji, he says that he, you know, pretty much wants to get intimate with a woman. That's like his main driver right now. And Asa's like at a loss for words here and just says, ew. Now, the comedy of all of it, you know, aside, I do think it's very interesting that Denji brought up everything else before this, before he, you know, kind of like revealed his like true motivations or whatever, because it's kind of confirming that Denji still remembers Aki and power, still remembers everything that's happened to him in part 1, and it's not like he's like forgetting about it or completely over it already. He's just found something that's kept him going. Like, it's still weighing on his mind. It's still a heavy trauma that he has to deal with, but what else can you do? You know, like, either you just lay down and take it, or you find a reason to keep moving forward. And for, you know, anyone that's really had a hard time in their lives and they feel like they have no way out, like they're just suffocated by all these bad things that are happening to them and nothing can go right, finding that one thing that kind of keeps you going, however dumb it is to somebody else, it's important to you, right? So say what you want about what Denji wants to kind of keep going and keep moving forward. The fact that he's still standing here is a testament to just how like mentally resilient the guy is, right? Kind of inspiring in a weird way. I don't know, but what did you guys think of this chapter? Let me know in the comments below what you think about this whole interaction between Asa and Denji. Also, I'm assuming if you watch this video, you're a Chainsaw Man fan, and if you want to converse with other like-minded Chainsaw Man fans, then join my new Discord server by clicking the link in the description below and come and make a new friend. That's it for today's video, guys. Have an absolutely wonderful night, and I'll see you guys in the next one.